country, y'all. He helped 6.5 million people pull themselves out of poverty. We became energy independent, for goodness sake. And you know what? He made our borders secure. He stood up to China. He stared down Kim Jong-un. He sanctioned Putin. He told NATO, pay up or we're out. He got us out of that insane Paris climate accord that had us paying trillions of dollars unnecessarily. And most of all, he got us out of that insane Iran nuclear deal. But most of all, he stood up for our number one ally. And after 3 presidents would not do it, he moved the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. I didn't come here to tell you how good the next 4 years are going to be. If I had to do that, I'd come to the wrong meeting, y'all. I'm a native Georgian. I know what 75 looks like on Friday afternoon. But I'm here to tell you, if we don't do our job, President Trump is not going to get reelected. Here's what we have to do. We have to vote. You can't come to these meetings and not vote. You got to vote. You'll be surprised how many people sit in church with you and they're not registered. Oh, I've heard the stories. Oh, I don't want jury duty. I don't want the federal government to find me. Guess what, Mama? They already know where you are. If you don't like government, elect Kamala, and then watch what happens. We're not going to let that happen. I promised Donald Trump recently that we would get more volunteers than we've ever had in the state of Georgia. So in addition to voting, you've got to sign up and work.
I wish I had my tripod.
Tonight, right now, some of you signed up all the way in. Many of you did not. I promised the president 1,000 volunteers today. When you leave, you'll see the table out there. I'm not kidding. If you want to stop the cheat, you've got to help. I feel more confident now about that than I ever have. But we're not done, and we cannot do it without you. President Trump is doing his part. Held by Georgia, it's our time to do our part. In closing, I want to tell you one thing. Ronald Reagan reminded us that freedom is not to be taken for granted, y'all. We have to fight for it. You saw President Trump's true character in Pennsylvania. The voters just missed him, and he stood up and said, "What, fight? Hey, here's what you got to do." That's the line of world unless you vote and volunteer. It's idle unless you do that. When I left the United States Senate under uncertain terms in January of 2021, a newfound friend of mine gave me a Bible. I look at it every day. In the back of that Bible, he penned the following words. If you know these words and you'll recognize them, say them with me. And I'm proud to be in America, where at least I know I'm free. And I'll never forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up with you today and fight for her still today. Because there ain't no doubt, I love this land. God bless the USA. Thank you for being here. God bless you. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Lifetime President Donald J. Trump. With the support of many of y'all in this arena and the endorsement of President Trump, inarguably the most powerful endorsement in the history of American politics, I stand before you today as the Republican nominee for Georgia's 3rd Congressional District. And since the media and some of the media fanatical left over and over lie and smear President Trump's name, I thought I would share a little bit about President Trump, for whom I worked for 8 years, the President Trump that I know. Back before he ran for president, in the 1980s, there was a family farm in Burke County, Georgia. Anybody from Burke County is here? Y'all know the story. But in the 1980s, there was a family farm in Burke County, Georgia that was about to
Cowboy hat. There he is.
Tragedy had befallen this family, and a widow was at risk of losing everything she and her family had. The local community was outraged, and it became a national story, and it came across the desk of a certain New York City businessman named Donald J. Trump. The widow's phone rang, and on the other end of the phone was none other than our great president, Donald J. Trump. And I'm going to tell you what he did. He said, though I've never met you, I'm moved by your story. I want to fix this problem for you. So he went out, he raised $100,000 to take this lady back into the black and ensure that she was able to provide for her family and ensure that that house was not going to be foreclosed upon. That is the President Trump that I know, and that is the man we must re-elect. We fast forward a little bit. In 2017, just after his historic election and inauguration, in April of 2017, many of us may remember the I-85 bridge collapse just up the road. And thanks to the brave first responders, not one life was lost in that tragedy. I was working at the White House at the time, and I talked to President Trump about it. And he looked at me and said, let's get those heroes to the White House. So what should have been a routine 15-minute photo opportunity with the brave first responders from the Atlanta Police Department, Atlanta Fire Rescue Department, and Georgia State Patrol, what should have been a 15-minute photo opportunity turned into a 2-day celebration from the Roosevelt Room to the Oval Office. President Trump opened the White House bowling alley and bought way too many pizzas for us to count, for all of us to enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the President Trump that I know, and that is the man we must re-elect. And just 3 weeks ago today, a monster tried to take the life away from President Trump. But the first thing he did was get back to the podium and reassure the thousands of people in attendance and the millions of people watching that not only was he okay, but that we must fight, fight, fight. Ladies and gentlemen, that's President Trump. We know that that is the man we must re-elect. We are inspired by President Trump's message, and we're motivated to win, but we have got to turn out to vote. In our primary election, our state's primary election, this past May, just a few months ago, Republican turnout in our state was 11%. In my runoff election, Republican turnout was 8%. And in our last presidential election, for president, turnout across our state was 67%. We have got to do better. When you think about that, 67%. So if you're in line at Publix, or if you're at Chick-fil-A right before that breakfast window closes, and there are 10 people ahead of you, 3 of them did not vote. So our call to action when we leave this rally today should be very clear. Go home, pull up your phone book, message your friends and family, ask them, are you registered to vote? Because if you're not registered to vote, we gotta make sure you are before October. And if you are registered to vote, make sure that you have a plan to get out and vote early when it opens and vote out on election day if that's your preference. Because ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump took a bullet for us. The least we can do is get out and vote for him. My name is Brian Jack. I'm the Republican nominee for Georgia's 3rd Congressional District, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you to ensure that J.D. Vance is our next Vice President and Donald J. Trump is the 47th President of the United States of America. Thank you all very much. Thank you.